Hello and welcome back. This is Casper Yarley from Custom Audio in Chicago, and today we're going to be showing you how to do a recone on a driver. This particular driver is a JBL. The model of it is an E155-4, which is an 18-inch driver designed originally for musical instrument sound reproduction. One of the things we're doing today, besides showing you how to recone a speaker, is we're also going to convert this basket over to a 2245. That's a different type of driver, but it uses the same basket. JBL used a lot of the same baskets for a lot of the different models. This particular one was requested to be reconed as a 2245 by the customer. So what we're going to start with here is we're going to show you the basic essentials you're going to need for doing this. Acetone we're going to use for cleaning off some of the surfaces where things will be glued down to. This is an adhesive we use for gluing down the dust cap onto the cone. This is standard masking tape, color doesn't matter. That's going to be used for cleaning out the voice coil gap. This adhesive here is going to be used for both the spider as well as the surround down to the basket, and a two-part epoxy which will be used for the voice coil to the spider assembly and the cone to the voice coil. There's different types you can use. This particular one is actually really nice because it self-mixes as you use it, and it has a very narrow tip, so you can really get in there and glue where you need to glue. Finally, we have a couple other things, which is a rag for keeping your hands clean and wiping off excess glue if it comes down to it. We're also going to use this for wiping down the surfaces with the acetone. Some general wood sticks that I got from Starbucks coffee, and these are used for pressing down on certain parts as the glue is adhering. And the very last thing you're going to need is going to be a standard box cutter. This you can get at any hardware store. There's different types you can use, but generally you want to use something that's a little more sturdy like this, because you're going to have to put a little force into doing this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by cutting through the surround on this driver, which is definitely blown. On this driver, the failure mode was the spider separated from the voice coil, which is pretty common on older JBLs, and also the voice coil itself was burnt up. We'll be able to see that once we get it out of here. So let's start. We're going to start by cutting off cutting this around, and we're going to cut the cone out. So here we go. Doesn't have to be neat, it's just getting it out of there. So this is your old cone. This will be thrown away. That's going to be discarded. On drivers that are under warranty, we were originally told by JBL that we need to send in this assembly right here, which is basically the voice coil, part of the spider, basically what you see left in the basket. And the reason they did that was because if the driver was being serviced under warranty, they wanted to have the old one back so they could check for failure modes, and also to be sure the driver was in fact redone under warranty. So here we have the tinsel leads. We're just going to cut through those. They go pretty easy. You can cut them with wire cutters, whatever you like. This driver failed by the spider separating from the voice coil, so I could pull it out, but generally what you do is you just cut through the spider. We're just going to pull it out. That's the whole speaker. So this voice coil here is from 1989. It's an original JBL driver, voice coil I should say, and this is going to be discarded, but we're going to hang on to this for right now. The next step is pulling out the spider, which is what you see right here. We're just going to cut this out. Again, you don't have to be too careful because it all comes out in the end anyway. So we throw this away. Garbage can. There it is. And this part here where it goes onto the basket, wow. Usually you got to work on that a little more, but that came off pretty easy. This part you see here with the hole in it, this is actually a vent that vents the voice coil, but it also acts as a filter. Over time, it's foam. Over time, these deteriorate, so we're just going to carefully pull this off and discard it. Most times you don't need to replace this, provided the speaker is not used in an environment where it's very, very dusty. If it is, it's probably a good idea to replace that, but we're not going to worry about that right now because it's not critical. So the next part is the gasket and the rest of the surround. This part's a little more difficult because you have to actually work it and get the glue off. So I'm going to start by pulling off part of the gasket just to see what it looks like under there. And yeah, it's going to probably be a little bit of a hassle. Some speakers are easier than others, so let's take a look and see how this one goes. Be careful because you're using a knife and you don't want to stab yourself, obviously. I've seen some people where they do reconing and they'll actually pull it towards them. I don't recommend that because if you slip, you're going to cut yourself. Also, going away from yourself is safer. As you do it, what you're going to do is you're going to basically turn the basket and work your way underneath of it. Be careful you don't cut your hand. Keep your hands in a safe location. So we just start by going like this. And we're going to have to go over this a couple times, so this isn't going to be the first time we do this. Right now we're just getting the bulk of it off. And here we go, we're almost done. And you also want to make sure you have nice sharp razors. You don't want to have worn out ones. So start with a fresh one for every one you do. Something I do generally, just to make it a little bit easier if we have a hard time getting it off, is I'll take the razor and I'll run it just on the outer edge and cut through, especially if the driver's been reconed in the past. It helps a lot because you can actually cut through the adhesive that somebody else used, and things come off pretty easy that way. So that's that. Now you can see, if you look closely, you'll see remnants of the original surround is still in the basket. So right here what we're going to do is we're going to get all this out of here until we get down to bare metal. This is still the material from the old surround. And right down here is what we want to get to, is bare metal. In the end, what's going to happen is I'm going to actually go over this with acetone once this is all removed, and then I'm going to take a little sanding block just to make sure I get a nice clean bare metal surface. And then final wipe of acetone so that the new adhesive will stick to it nicely. So we'll get back to stripping this basket. So we'll start anywhere where it doesn't make a difference. And just get all the stuff off. And you'll see usually it comes off in one piece, depending on how old the speaker is and what kind of environment it was in. You can see this comes off in chunks. So let's just get all this off of here. Probably take a few minutes to get through this. The next step after this is where we actually do the spider landing, which is the bottom part down here. The procedure is pretty much the same. You just scrape it down to get all the residue off, all the old adhesive and the old materials. And then once that's all done, the actual reconing begins. So this is all preparing the basket for the new kit. And this is really important because if your surfaces that you're gluing the new parts to aren't clean and aren't sound, then your work is going to be compromised. So you want to make sure this is done properly and done well. Just move along here.